I do love that now we've started recording. There's a man trimming all the bushes outside the window. That wasn't there before.
Don't close it though, because it's too warm, man.
No, the window's closed.
Oh, mate.
I'm boiling.
To be fair, the window in here is closed, because the minute I open it, someone will start, like you say, fucking mowing or something.
I've got the window closed, and it is still really fucking loud. Where is he going? Oh, he's like right next. Oh, okay, he's like right next to my window. Like, we might have to give this a second to see if he passes. Just because this is the silliest. Why does this always happen the minute we hit record? Also, have we already reached that point of the year, Chris? The it's unbearably hot, and to do a podcast, you've got to have the windows shut, and we start moaning about it on the podcast. You can always tell which podcasts are recorded in the summer because about 50% of them have that subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, honestly, it's still... How can there be people in the world that don't believe in global warming? 3 weeks ago, like, I was wearing a fucking, like, coat and hat walking to work, and now, sunglasses. Unfortunately for me, because of my... Is this in... Are we going, by the way? Yeah, fuck it.
We'll call this pre-music. We'll call this pre-music.
Pre-music. Because of my sort of general shape beard, I got these kind of big, sort of colourful, not like they're blue, the sort of blue rimmed sunglasses.
Yeah.
Big headphones, because I don't like headphones that go in my ears. I like headphones that sit outside, and a backpack. And I got ready to go out today, and I turned to my friend and I went, "Tell me the truth. How much do I look like Alan from the Hangover movies?" And they were just like, "I'm never going to be able to unsee that again."
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? That because I had this. I have an issue with baseball hats. With my particular beard and a baseball cap, I start to look like I belong on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I start to look like one of those douche bros that wants to talk about the complexities of an arm lock, and then about taking, like acid and like getting in a flotation tank or something. Like that's the sort of person I look like once I wear a baseball cap. Yeah. Particularly, someone did a joke lately because I joked. I turned it backwards, like as a joke. I got one recently. I got a nice new one that says "fuck turfs." It's my favorite, and I turned it round as a joke. And Nadia was like, "No, you need to take that off immediately. Like with your you need to either get rid of the facial hair or have the cap forwards at the very least." But yeah, it doesn't really work.
No.
I don't know how far away this guy's gone. Oh god, is he going round the side? Yeah, I can't decide if he's going round the side of the building or if he's about to actually come up, because I've got a bush right outside the window here. He's not going to trim that, surely. Fuck it, we might have to just start. Can you hear him on your end, Chris?
No, I could at first, but now I can't.
Okay, well that's progress.
Which is always a fairly good litmus test.
Yeah. All right, let's do a podcast then, Chris. Anyway, roll the music. This has gone on for way too long. Roll the music. Hello and welcome to Analysing Avatar The Last Airbender. I'm Dan, and I have been a long-term fan of the world of Avatar The Last Airbender, and I'm joined by Chris Billingham, who is new-ish to the world now, because we're in Korra, so I can't really describe you as new anymore, but you still are late.
No. Yeah, hence people analysing Avatar The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm. Not late as in he's passed. Although in this case, he has.
What?
In Korra, Aang is dead.
Oh, Christ. I thought we were still talking about me. I was like, don't fucking tempt fate like that. We record these in advance.
No, this is how I tell you, Chris. You've been a ghost all along.
And then it just goes beep, and it's like, "Hi, Dan here. Chris actually did pass. So I guess I need to find someone else. If you've not, comment below if you've not seen Korra. If you're watching live with us, let me know. You can be the co-host.
Yeah. Doesn't take much. You just got to mispronounce all the names. It's great. It's an easy job.
Yeah. If you're thinking, Do I have to help with all the editing? Don't worry, Chris never did any of that, so you're good.
Yeah. I think we're sorted. But oh no, but imagine that if you'd like been a ghost all along, and this is how I was telling you, like you died at uni, and I'd never been able to quite shake you as a ghost, and this was all just my way of building up to the moment where I revealed to you that you're a ghost because I didn't think you'd take it well.
On Rewind Reviews, we did The Sixth Sense, and that would have definitely come up then.
Yeah, that would have been my opportunity. You're right. So Chris, you know how in this movie he was dead all along. Have a guess what news I have for you. Anyway, this week we watched The Southern Lights, another episode with a sort of, in terms of plot, quite a simple plot, but there's still a lot going on. But the basic plot of the episode is, of course, Korra, now with Unalaq, is going on her quote-unquote training, but actually an immediate difference to Tenzin's training is it's practical. They're going straight out into the world to do some actual problem solving with this spirits issue. Unalaq explains that there's a portal that's been closed, a spiritual portal that's been closed, and it's been closed for many years, kind of as a result of abandonment, but also partly as a result of the 100-Year War. So it's Korra's job as the Avatar to reopen it as the bridge between the world, and it will help the spirit energy flow, and then they won't have these unbalanced spirits that we have that are attacking people. They go off into the wilderness, into the tundra, and eventually Korra touches the thing, and with a little bit of Avatar state shenanigans, and lo and behold, portal opens, Northern Lights, hopefully, nice spirits, but oh what? Little twist in the tale, Chris. I'm sure you're on the edge of your seat as I retell this. Unalaq's brought the Northern Water Tribe's armies to the doors of the Southern. What's he up to?
Yeah, he keeps doing shit that, like, you go, oh, maybe I'm wrong about him, and then boom, big old army.
Yeah, big old army. So, how do we feel? This is the second episode, and again, we'll probably. I hope we don't have to say this every week, but with Korra, obviously, the story is serialized season to season, and it doesn't have quite the episodic episode of the week structure that Avatar did. So you'll have to forgive us for sometimes sort of having reserved opinions on some of the storylines, because often they're not complete. They're not complete yet. So it's like, how do we make any determination? But yeah, how are you feeling after this one, Chris?
Here's a very specific. I enjoyed it. First of all, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was. I will get specific actually, because I was about to say my specific thing anyway. You know what idea, Dan, I thought was fucking brilliant.
Go. I'm all ears, mate.
The notion that the Northern Lights are like spirits at harmony. I thought that was fantastic. I was like, oh, chef's kiss for that. That's a brilliant idea.
You right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a but on that.
No, nothing. There's no but.
Look. No, I agree. Yeah,
Dan,
I think
is it
in the world of a fantasy show like this? I think you're right. That makes it's brilliant. It works really well.
Yeah, is it highly detailed? Is it a highly detailed review of the episode? No, but it's my main feeling. It's my main takeaway. I really thought that it showed the continued imagination of the creators.
Yeah, it isn't interesting. Korra is really, like, for all of its production issues and them not being sure about a second season and then getting a second season and then not being sure about a third season and then getting a third season. Like, someone pointed out in one of our comment threads, actually, at one point, that actually the only season they wrote really knowing for sure there was another season was the third. Which is quite funny to think about. But yeah, I think this, in that world where the show had a bit of a tumultuous production, you sort of got to forgive certain stuff, I think, in terms of like the storytelling and what have you. And even though the execution might not be everyone's favourite, there is no denying the ideas at the core of this show are tremendous. Always. There's always really interesting creative stuff they do with the show. And if you're one of the kind of people out there that thinks this show isn't a great execution of those ideas, or you don't like certain elements, or you don't like certain characters, I empathise and I understand. But I don't think anyone can deny the creativity behind this show and the ideas behind it and little things like that, which, you know, might not even play a part into the rest of the season. That might just be one little fun idea in one, you know, episode, and it's a really fun, clever idea. So yeah, the show is full of that.
So yeah, I really liked that. I really liked, again, that dude just being like up to something. I found really intriguing. I didn't, you know, the only element of it that I was like, I don't want to do this every week. I don't want Korra to be a little unreasonable to Marco and then say sorry and say that being the Avatar is stressful. Maybe it's true to life. I get it. Like, it does feel like there's sort of a truth in that storyline, but it's like, we literally did this last week. Like, I don't want love triangle bullshit to be replaced with things get a bit tense between those two. Oh, who cares? Whatever.
Would you argue it was clearer this week though? Because I remember last week we had to talk our way into. I think the idea is Korra's under a lot of pressure. It's not really about him. You know, she was snapping at him, but really it was about a wider situation, a stress that she's under, a pressure that she's under as the Avatar. We had to apply that to the story. It was in the subtext rather than the text. This week it's in the text, which I do think makes it a better version of that story. You're right, it is the same beat we hit last week. But I think it's better executed here, if I'm being honest. She doesn't seem as bratty
I think that's very fair.
She doesn't seem as bratty or unreasonable when she first snaps at him, and she's the one that reaches out with the apology at the end. Which is, I think, does a lot more for her character than what we got last week, which made her... She came across not so well, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
Yeah. But so you think you're worried that's going to replace love triangle bullshit?
Yeah, I don't want that every week. Like, it's not that interesting to me if we're doing that every week.
It's tricky. It's that like, age-old thing, isn't it? Of like, once you get the couple together and there's no more will they, won't they? It's like, what do you do? Some shows figure it out beautifully. Some shows do not know how to do it at all.
Yeah, especially sitcoms. The sitcom genre is appalling for that. It's you know, I've said it before, I say it again. It's why I love The Office so much. The Office ran for 9 years, and other than, you know, the final season where they had difficulties, which is different, they didn't do will they, won't they. They weren't Ross and Rachel or Penny and Sheldon with needless getting
breakups
back together and breakups and all that bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, can't the relationship just not be rocky for a bit? Like it's like the default. Oh, they're together. Well, the relationship has to be rocky then because that's story. Like it's such a weird. Like I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's like a habit, an ingrained habit in writers that they're a couple, so they have to have couple problems. They have to be bickering. They can't just be a functional couple because that's not how storytelling works. But actually, if your storytelling outside of that is really interesting. I don't know, let's say you've got a sort of messiah figure, you know, that's on the earth to bring balance between humans and spirits. That seems interesting enough on its own to me. I don't think I need more drama than that, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's coming to, like, but there are people, including me, who essentially came to the office for Jim and Pam.
Yeah.
No one's coming to Korra to watch Korra and Marco bicker.
No, definitely not. So it does seem a little, because it also, like, I'm okay with it if it feels like it's giving me information about her character, but I feel like all we're learning is that this is stressing her out, and I feel like we get that, like, from other things that are happening. I don't feel like we need her to be snippy with Marco to demonstrate that to us. I feel like, you know, we're seeing that in her
that was
behaviours with
actual,
other people too.
That was, for those, you know, not necessarily rewatching as we go, being the Avatar is hard was literally dialogue in this episode when she was apologising to Marco. And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually a line of dialogue from the show.
Yeah.
But what did you think, Daniel?
Yeah, I quite like this one. It's another sort of like it's another one of those episodes where it's like you feel the pieces moving into place. we're setting up. We're still in setup phase. It's if it's a 14 episode season and you're looking at a 3-act structure, we're still very much in the setting up our major sort of problem to solve for the season. We're not really sure what that is yet, so we're still sort of toying around in that area. So all we can really review it on is like, the actual sort of like more micro rather than the macro of the story. So what actually happened in this episode? A fun little adventure. They go off into the frozen tundra. Korra, I really like what this says about Korra, because what we saw in the first season, there's a surprising amount of, not surprising, a really good amount of like consistency in her writing, I think, here, because what she was always frustrated with Tenzin was his lack of willingness to let her out practically being the Avatar. He always resisted that at all stages. He always wrapped her in cotton wool. And we learnt last week, literally, that's something I don't think we got to talk about maybe, but, one of the things Korra discovered last week is that it was actually not Aang's choice for her to have been kept inside this whole time, but actually her dad, Tonrok, and Tenzin's choice. So this is a character that's been shoved in a box all of her life. And even last year when she was out in Republic City, Tenzin was constantly trying to control how she learned and kept it theoretical, not practical. Stay on Air Temple Island, learn about the wind by stepping through these gates or whatever. All that stuff. She has a new teacher this week, first episode of them two being a sort of teacher-student relationship. And she's like, all right, what's the lesson? He's like, lesson? No, we're going to go out and do it. Like, what are you fucking talking about, lesson? Like, you're the Avatar. We're going to go do Avatar shit. Like, like, you could see how appealing that would be to Korra. She's always been a person of action. And you can argue she was driven to that by her upbringing. She's rebelled against play it safe, stay in the box, and she's become maybe the reason she's so forceful as a character is because of the way she was brought up. She's rebelled against that approach, and I think that's really telling of where she's at. And then you have Unalaq comes along, and he's just like, hey, come on, let's go do Avatar shit. And she's like, yes, please. Yeah, I mean, she's like almost surprised that that's what he's doing. But so I think from a writing perspective, that's really told us a lot about her as a character. And while this episode's plot isn't isn't the most exciting, I can't tell you how invested I was in whether she touched the big circle and made a portal open or not, because I feel like the mistake maybe they've made is that we don't really understand the stakes of that yet. I feel like we're going to, but it's like it's hard to invest in this particular episode's plot so much, because what do I care if this portal opens? Like,
yeah, the big portal was a whole load of MacGuffin, and when it looked like maybe she was going to get captured, I was like, oh, okay, it's MacGuffin, but the plot is going to become, wherever she's taken to or whatever. And then then it's like, oh no, it's Avatar State and MacGuffin, and it's just a step in the wider plan of Dodgy Rock. So yeah. What did you think of the side story? The Aang's son. What then? So Bimini. What are their names?
Tenzin, Bumi, and Kaya.
Tenzin, Bumi. That's it.
Tenzin, Bumi, Kaya, and then the kids Iki and Jinora. And I always forget the third kid.
I'm not going to remember the kids' names, mate.
Let me tell you, mate. This year, you may have to remember at least one of them, because one of them takes a step in the plot.
So there's Jinora. Two things about it. One, I really liked not jealousy, but the look and the fact that they were like, Aang had other children, and the look between Bumi and his sister. I was like, oh, that's good. That says an awful lot about why the relationship is at the state we've seen those relationships in. I thought that was really clever.
And what's good about that is
the doors are open because it's so hot, and I just got to watch Jess really quietly try and sneak up the stairs to not be heard, which I enjoyed. Don't be making any noise now, Jess. We're talking, huh? Too true you are. We're talking Korra, baby.
What I liked about that is like a little tease for the rest of the season. I think in terms of that because like that's such a small moment. It's not a big moment in this episode. It's not a plot of this episode. It's just one little moment, but it really does nicely put a piece in place that's going to become part of a story, and you can tell that that's what they're doing. And if anyone feels like I'm spoiling that for Chris here, he's a big boy. He's seen the episode. He as anyone would have watching it has gone, that's probably not the only reference to this situation we're going to get. Like those three have been put together for a reason,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, I think
and sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think we're going to get some interesting stuff with that, and I think that little tease is like a perfect amount of it to not encroach on the story that we actually got this week, but really did a nice job making me go, oh, that's coming later this series. That's where we're going. One of the places we're going.
And some shit's going down with the daughter. Great stuff.
Yeah, should we talk about that? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, maybe. But I honestly, I'm really enjoying just I know we talk about it for an hour and 15 minutes after every episode. But I really enjoy just watching Korra. So we could talk about it. But if your question is, what do you think's going on there? Don't know. Don't care. I don't want to know. I want to know whatever the creators want me to know.
Sure.
I'm just I was like, ooh, that's That's my highbrow analysis that people come to this podcast for. I was all, ooh.
Yeah, I think I was when I first saw it too, but I also kind of just liked we were actually doing something with these three kids, because the three kids,
yes.
So Jinora, Iki, and Milo. I did have to look up Milo's name. I already said Jinora and Iki earlier without having it in front of me, but I really did have to look up the third child's name. It's Milo. That's the Fartbender. So Jinora's the oldest, Iki is the middle child, and Milo is Fartbender.
Can I just say, Dan, I think you focus too much on the fart bending.
It's real bad. It's my least favourite thing in the whole of this show. And I know there are people with really huge problems with this show. Stuff that really bothers them storyline-wise and all that. I'm sorry. It pales in comparison to my irritation at fart bending.
It doesn't. Does it happen in this season?
I can't remember. Didn't he do it last week? Didn't he land on someone's head and fart off them last week when they first arrived at the Southern Water Tribe? It just washes over you now, the fart bending. Anyway.
Well, I just see it as the next logical step in airbending, because let me tell you, my friend, if you could airbend, you'd be fart bending all over the shop.
No, if I could airbend, I'd be making it look like other people were farting all the time.
Exactly. Well, that's fart bending, my friend. Like if you're in a crowded place, you are and someone. No, here's the ultimate scenario, right? You're in like a theater, and someone's being really obnoxious. Someone's fucking chatting, or a cinema. And someone's chatting away, and they're banging on, and they're looking on their phone, and you're disturbing things, and they're disturbing things for everyone.
Hey mate, I'm seeing the cinematic masterpiece known as The Flash tomorrow. If someone does that, oof.
Exactly right. So you're Keaton's there.
Keaton's on screen. Yeah,
improvising lines from his previous movie. And this obnoxious guy is really annoying you. You are categorically bending a guff his way so that the people around him are going, oh, Jesus.
Maybe I am. Maybe that's exactly what I'm doing, Chris.
Yeah, you are part of the fart bending problem, and you won't even admit it.
Well, often it is, often with, these people, it is always deflection, isn't it?
You ever fart when you're walking along listening to music in headphones and you suddenly realise you have no concept for how loud it was?
I'm sure that has happened to me. Not enough for me to be like, that's a thing that happens. Enough for me to have that's a regular problem I come up against. I'm sure that has occurred because, statistically. It's not a regular occurrence, though, that it would be on the top of my brain now. I'm assuming that's happened to you, though.
Oh, yeah, that's happened to me. Yeah.
Regularly?
No, not that regularly. I would say twice a year.
Twice a year, that's fine. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe the next time it happens, I'll notice now. When you learn a new word and then you hear the new word everywhere. Maybe I have that moment all the time, but my brain is just quick to dismiss it. Of oh well, you can't do anything about that, and I move on. And then it's going to happen, sometime the next month or so. And I'm going to be like, fucking hell. Chris is right. Twice a year.
Yeah,
I've got one more left.
Anyway, let's be honest. We've stretched this fart bending conversation out a lot more than either of us thought we would.
So for so getting back to the use of Jinora. First of all, you've got a great actress in Kiernan Shipka. Make use of her. She was kind of wasted in the first season. For those who don't know, it's the actress that was from Mad Men, played Sally Draper, but also Sabrina on the recent Sabrina the Teenage Witch show. She's a great actress, and I feel like finding something for those children to do is really good. And I can't talk too much about, obviously, because I don't want to go into like where it goes, but it's her story this season is so clever for a million reasons, and listeners will probably already be aware of why. But I'm really excited to see how, to see that play out now properly and get your thoughts on it, Chris, because I'm a fan of it. Okay. So we'll come back to that. But yeah, the little tease here, though, for me, when I first saw the episode, my biggest excitement was just, they're going to do something with the child. Okay, cool. I'll take that. Because currently, they just felt, in the first season, they were there, and they were there for mostly comic relief. Asking awkward questions, or they were there for threat at the end. They were the threat was hurt the family. They were sort of the Mary Jane of the Last Airbender Korra universe, in that they were just basically there to be kidnapped at the end, and supply some comic relief in the middle. Mary Jane doesn't really do that, so that's maybe that's not a good example, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that was for me the first signs of them actually making use of those characters was very exciting. I really like all the stuff in the other side of the spot, and I also think what they did, which is really smart. You know how sometimes we talk about, Chris, trust in a writer, and sometimes a storyline needs you to trust that the writer does know where they're going with it and that it's not just random shite. I think having that statue light up in the moment Korra touches the portal and opens the portal, right? As much as that is just currently a mysterious MacGuffin, right? And you don't even want to think about it, you'll just wait till the show sort of reveals what that is. Even you must be thinking, like, excited that is a link between our two stories, though. Because last week, you were talking about how they're going to be separate. We've already got a link between story A and story B here.
Yeah, I was excited by that, and I thought you were going to say a link between this show and Avatar, because once again, people, the cheap nostalgia of the Aang statue really got me.
Yeah,
I was
well, that's also extra good because it's in the statue room where he first accessed the Avatar state, right? Because he freaked out. I don't know if you recall that episode, but he was in that very statue room really early on in like the fourth episode, because he went looking for the southern air nomads. It's like the first thing they do, because it's so close to the Southern Water Tribe. And freaked out when he saw all the statues and realised all the monks were gone. So it's a link in a few ways. It's not a quick like, oh look, here's the image of Aang. It's also like tying to a very particular story moment for him.
Fair.
Yes. You have nothing. Yeah, your hindsight was all because you brought up the statue. You were just happy that was for you. That you were just like, I saw Aang. That's it.
Yeah. Like completely. I'm pleased there's more of a link. I think that's it feels like first series was very much set in Republic City. We're now exploring, and we're exploring similar places and echoing Aang's exploring, and I think that's wonderful. But fundamentally, big old statue with Aang's face on. Love it.
That's fair. That is fair. That is very fair.
Look, Dan.
Yes.
I also don't know why, for some reason, I'm not even trying today. I feel like this is like, for some reason, despite the fact that we've been doing this for 10 years, we've done 11 years, hundreds of episodes where we specifically deep dive into episodes of shows. And for some reason, today I'm just like, I don't know if it's the heat, but today I'm like, yeah, that was cool.
Good. I like it. It's making this.
It's cool.
It's making this harder, and that's fun.
Okay, right. I'll ask a question.
Go
on. Bolin's story. What do we think? Because I like Audrey Plaza's characters a lot. Mainly, especially now I know it's Audrey Plaza, because it just feels
do you call her Audrey Plaza on purpose? Is you've been
No, what is it? What
Aubrey.
is it? Blazer? Oh, Aubrey. Oh. Orbs Plus. Aubrey Plaza, my bad.
There you go. Yeah. You
I-
did it last
I really
week too,
like
and I
this-
was listening like, is he saying Audrey? I was like, my brain.
Oh, sorry.
Like, who names their child Audrey these days? Does that name exist anymore? There must be Audreys out there, I guess. I just haven't heard that name like in a long time. Like, I've got like an Aunt Audrey, but I don't know anyone our age with that name.
mate. I got dinner with our friends Audrey, Ethel, and Deirdre later.
I'm gonna Google I'm gonna see if there's any stats on its use.
I really like her characters. I think they're really funny, especially the whole, why did you show human emotion to the Avatar or something? And I really liked can somebody deflate me? And they water bended spikes into his puffed up jacket. So I really like that story. And I enjoy it because it's old orbs. But I really liked him interacting with Asami, and I really liked him interacting with that nutty princess businessman as well. And I know we can't go through places, and I specifically was like, it feels like we've got a lot of separate stories last week, and actually, we only had 2 separate stories this week. But yeah, part of me was like, oh, Bolin's here too. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I think it's one of those things where, having him along for the journey is a way to keep him involved in the plot without, like, actually, his plot isn't really moving forward this week, Bolin, is it? It's just, he's kind of got this weird relationship going with Esker, and that's basically all that it is this week. There's a little reference to Varric, because obviously that's where he's got his little snowmobile from. And his inflatable jacket and snacks and stuff. So there's a joke and a little reference to the Varric situation there. But, like, mostly, it's just to keep the gang together for this week. And you got to assume that, if now they've returned back to the actual Southern tribe proper, you got to assume Varric is still hanging out there, maybe even Asami too, and that plot can progress next week. I don't mind them taking a week off on that plot to give us a more focused episode this week. And instead he just he got to do a little bit of comic relief with Esker, which was funny. Like when he hugged Korra and she like iced around him and dragged him over and was like, why did you make physical contact with that other woman? And he's like, I'm sorry. That's all pretty funny. My favorite physical comedy or visual comedy joke of this week was for sure him just slowly sliding back in his inflatable suit after the other two have gracefully come down on their like ice skates. Literal ice skates, I should say.
Yeah, that was very funny.
It's a really funny gag. And he's like, can someone deflate me? And they just pierce it and walk off. It's great. That's a really good gag. So I didn't... Because there's 2 ways you handle this, right? Bolin is just... Where's Bolin? Oh, he's off with Asami this week. He's helping Asami with a deal with Varric. Oh, okay. And they just go off and we never mention him again. But then, I mean, you've got a very dry episode without a Bolin hanging out. So I'm okay with him coming along and not having a lot to do, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What did we think to the backstory then for Korra's dad, Tonrok? It's interesting. So for those who don't remember, the backstory we learn is that he basically used to be a Northern Water Tribe member, and there were some like marauders that got into the Northern Water Tribe, which was, by the way, very dumb. It's a big old city. Trying to attack that, you wouldn't. That was very dumb. You were not winning. They got an army. Like, what's the thought? Anyway, it doesn't matter. They chase them off. They find they hide in this like forest. It turns out it's like a sacred spirit forest. And Tonrok, in an attempt to flush them out, destroys the forest, floods it. And where they're heading in the Southern Water Tribe is like almost so that was like kind of the North Pole version of it, and the South Pole version, that exact same forest on the other side of the Earth, is where they're heading this week to open up that portal. So, there's a history, and it should have. They basically say that Tonrok was banished from the Northern Water Tribe, which explains a little bit why his brother's kind of so dismissive and looks down on him so much. And looks down particularly on the Southern Water Tribe's forsaking of their spiritual side, because that actually presumably tracks with his historical knowledge of his brother, not particularly giving too much of a shit about sacred stuff because his brother previously trashed a sacred forest. So I think that's it. I personally, I had mixed feelings on it because like I feel like wouldn't Korra know that? But also if he got banished from the Northern Water Tribe, how is he now like, unless I'm misremembering, I thought he was like leader of the Southern Tribe. But
yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's Chief Rock.
Yeah, but if he got, you know what I mean? Like if I got kicked out, if I got banished from England, I couldn't go be like, you know, like President of France. Do you know what I mean? I can't just paddle across the ocean and be like, accept me as your leader. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding the situation, but that seems odd.
I don't know, Dan. I think most political systems have quite a few examples of failing upwards.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, I think that tracks.
Fair enough. I mean, I like it as a it as a backstory for him as a person, and it informs his character a lot. I just mean practically, I was a bit like.
I really liked it as a backstory, but it felt a bit quick. Like I'll be honest with you, dude. I actually had to rewind that bit and go, wait, hold on. So what happened? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just slow, but that was my thing.
We got vacation, like... Chris, this week. He's just like, I don't care.
Yeah. I've barely. What? That's the problem, Dad. I've barely watched the episode. No, I literally.
I like to think that you watched the episode while on a beach in Spain, and you just haven't told me. And like you're like sun lounging with a martini.
No. I'll tell you if I was doing that. No, honestly, I don't. You think though? It does happen quite, and he kind of goes through it quite quickly, and then she's really mad, and you kind of go, and I think it's because also I think I partly rewound it because of her reaction, because it's like, well, he didn't do it deliberately. It's very clear that he didn't do it deliberately. So I sort of had to go back and be like, wait, so what did he do, and why is she mad?
I kind of interpreted it as she was mad he'd kept it from her. That was kind of my
that was it. But structurally, someone says something, everyone reacts in shock, we see a flashback, people are mad. Usually, they're mad at the flashback. I agree. Once I watched it the second time, I was like, oh no, she's mad because he didn't tell her. But the reason I think I was confused and had to watch it a second time is partly because, do you know what I mean? I almost felt like we didn't need to see the flashback for her to be mad at him for that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I think it is interesting actually, because the idea of pacing, because it is. I mean, it's a fairly. Is it a complex story? Does it need more time? I'm just thinking about it. Like I'm just doing my own sort of mental math. Like to make that land, do we need to have maybe spent a few more minutes depicting it dramatically to make it land a bit clearer? Because it's all it is told reasonably quickly as it goes. So that's food for thought, because I think, this is what, third rewatch. I don't know where I'm up to with Korra in terms of how many times I've seen it, but this is at least third, because I've definitely seen this show in its entirety twice, probably more. Actually, no, this has to be fourth, actually, because I watched it again with Nadia. So yeah, this is at least my fourth rewatch. So I guess for me now, like something like that doesn't really land, because like I know that story and I'm not getting that information for the first time. So the speed at which the information is dispelled doesn't affect my ability to absorb it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So maybe there is a problem with pacing there that I haven't clocked on this viewing. Comment below, listeners. I'm curious. Did anyone else find that scene went a bit fast? Because I don't have the answer. I hadn't really thought about it until Chris said it.
It's just going to be just so many. Next year when you do right now, we're going to go back and we're going to look at the comments. Episode 2, a lot of people saying that Chris was just warm and lazy.
Vacation Chris. Name him correctly. When referring to this version of Chris in the comments below, Vacation Chris. That is how it will be referred to and must be referred to. Yeah. I will accept nothing else.
Yeah. That's fair.
I'm loving Vacation Chris. He's breezy, he's breezy. He doesn't give a shit if we do a 5-minute fart bending tangent. He's also not at all engaged with the show, but that's fine.
I have engaged with the
I'm
show.
kidding,
I've
I'm
asked
kidding.
questions.
At this
I've
point-
given opinions.
At this point, I'm just needling because it's fun. Right.
It's a hard. I would maintain, right,
Yes.
genuinely, but Vacation Chris aside, because of the serialized nature of it, and because these first two episodes have been very setup heavy, it is harder, I think, to review these at similar lengths. I mean, I'll be honest. The spirit fights, they looked cool. I have nothing more to say about them because I don't yet fully appreciate the context and the depth and the reasoning and emotion behind them. Visually, they were quite similar to last week's, if not last week's were a little cooler because we hadn't seen it before. It was 1-on-6 in that scene at the Christmas market. The boat scene felt like we were watching a sort of monster at sea story. Whereas in this, we're more used to it because we've seen it before, and yeah, it's the orb thing was slightly MacGuffin. So I think it's genuinely hard to get too in depth about this piece of the puzzle because it really feels like we need the whole puzzle, as you sort of talked about earlier.
Well, let me ask you this then: is that a fault of the episode? Could the episode have done more?
No,
because to invest us in the
because I'm not saying I wasn't invested. I absolutely am invested. I'm saying it's difficult to talk about it for an hour and 15 minutes.
But do you not think more context would have increased investment?
Maybe.
Let's talk about the finale for this episode then, right? Korra is going to the center of this mysterious spirit woodland maze, right? She gets there. She doesn't know what she needs to do, but she just Avatar states it, touches it, and it works, and it opens this portal, right? Korra, it feels very out of... It doesn't feel like she's learned anything. It doesn't feel like she's achieved anything because we only have Unalaq's word on what that thing does. We don't then see evidence necessarily of dozens of spirits throughout the lands turning to gold sparkly starlight and moving on or whatever. We just have the ones that were getting her at the time shifting. We don't really know what it is exactly she's achieved. We have what Unalaq has told us. Unalaq's been very specific. He's it's to rebalance the spiritual world and stop these spirits from turning good or bad, because a spirit is inherently both, and you have to get them balanced for them to be sort of benign. And if do you think the episode might have had more of an impact, even with that point aside of we understand this is the first piece of a puzzle? Just talking about this specific episode's plot and climax, could they have done more to make me more invested in Korra touching that thing? Or could they have done something to make it feel like more like Korra actually achieved something? Because it feels to me like she got there, she Avatar stated, borrowed the knowledge of the past, and did the thing. And she doesn't even really know what the thing is yet.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the orb, that's all absolutely fair. Especially when, essentially, she did the same thing she did last week to win the race.
Right.
And to the point where I'm like, I wonder if they put that in just to kind of literally establish that.
Yeah.
To establish, this is how in and out she can get of the Avatar state, which, as you said last week, is a bit of a problem when the point of her journey here is she's not in touch with her spiritual side. Yeah. So it's a bit weird how easy she can flip between the two.
And it could very well be that this is, that is the point. Like, right now, when she's doing spiritual stuff, she's not doing it. She's learned nothing. Because maybe, and this comes back to our, what do you call it, Dodgy Rock? Is he, Dodgy Rock, is he, what side of the story is he lying on? Is he going to be an antagonist or is he going to be on the sort of side of the good guys of Team Korra, we got this weird problem there. Maybe that's the idea, is like, right now Korra's not doing it herself. Maybe by the end of the season she'll need to. actually do it and not just go, well, my past selves figured this stuff out, so I'll just Avatar state it and sort of cheat my way there. Not cheat, but you know what I mean, like, just borrow their knowledge momentarily to achieve this thing. Maybe we're building to her needing to achieve something herself, but for this particular episode, for the 20 minutes of television that we just watched, I do feel a bit like it kind of made the ending of this episode slightly underwhelming and lacking in tension. It's not the end of the world. I still mostly enjoyed the episode, as I said at the beginning, but I think if I was to level a criticism at this episode, it's that I do think, because right now, none of this stuff really is linked to the characters in a way that's satisfying for me yet, so it does just feel like a MacGuffin. And I've also not seen a huge amount of evidence of a problem they're solving. We've got one boat that got flipped in the first episode. Then we've got the Winter Festival got attacked, but that was reasonably easily resolved. And then as they went out into the wilds, they had some, they got attacked by monsters this week. But I don't know. I feel like this. I just don't understand. I just don't think the show has done a great job to set up what it is she's trying to resolve yet.
Oh, well, it feels like it's what I talked about last week. Like, it could be Dodgy Rock. It could be Dodgy Rock creating these scenarios for the Avatar, for Korra to have to save the day, to have to fight spirits. But it's pretty coincidental that he's either always around or it's beneficial to his cause and beneficial to his point.
Right. But also, like, how long have they been dealing with this problem? And everyone's been fine. Like, she got there. It's not like they arrived in the southern water tribe and it's like derelict and loads of buildings are smashed because they're being attacked by spirits all the time. They were almost surprised about the attack. So, like, how long have they been because Unalog's telling us this is a problem that's been going on for as long as maybe as far back as the 100-Year War. So, like, they've been getting by with it for a long time. There doesn't feel like any immediate stakes. Or at least the show hasn't given me a sense of urgency. And you're right. Then there's that other element of, well, maybe that's on purpose because maybe that's the story, maybe that's the plot. Maybe the story is going to be that this is all conceived by Dodgy Rock. I love that we've now got a third name in the mix, so I haven't got to just remember which one is Tonrock and which one is Unalog, but I now have to remember Dodgy Rock as well. Unalog's the bad one. So Unalog, I say the bad one, you know what I mean, the dodgy one.
Yeah, I was going to say, Unalog is Dodgy Rock, isn't it? Yeah.
Tonrock is her dad. So, Unalog being such a mysterious figure does also, again, maybe strip this particular episode maybe of some tension, because you're not 100% sure how invested you are in that last sequence. And it's a beautiful sequence when the visuals, when the actual southern lights hit, poof, looks great. Looks amazing. And you get that nice moment of her dad looking back and being proud of her for doing it, even though they just had an argument. That was lovely too. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And they're setting up a lot of interesting stuff, Ancient Spirit Portal, it's been closed, spirits are unbalanced, darkness is... It feels like they're setting up a lot of lore stuff in the background here as well. And we clearly position Korra's father as having the opinion that the spirits in the physical world should remain separate. And, I mean, I don't know about you, Chris, but I did notice on my first viewing as well as this one, the use of the word portal. She's not opening a I don't know, like a shield or a cloak or she's opening a portal, a thing that takes you somewhere. So what's that? Where does that go if it is a portal? You might as well call it a gate or a door. So there's a lot going on, and it's all set up and it's interesting, but I just feel like it hurts the stakes, the individual episode itself, because so much of it is still so like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about any of this yet. And that is, I think, probably by design. I'm going to assume the writers knew what they were doing when they did that, but it does slightly hurt the tension of the finale.
It's especially when you've got, 2 episodes of setup. Hopefully that's not the case for the 3rd episode, but we might go back to Asami in episode 3 and be setting up more stuff there,
Yeah. How did you feel about the Korra's dad Mako stuff this week? I thought that was interesting. One of my last notes.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that plot. I think that it's difficult because if he is the bad guy, that it resolves really easily. Whereas it might be more interesting if there's more shades there. I thought the fact that he came along at first, again, interesting. Like I thought, oh, that's going to add an interesting dynamic. And don't get me wrong, I'm kind of them separating feels like it makes the most sense for the story.
Yeah.
But I like the tension there. And I like. Do I? Yes, I do like the storyline for what it's done with Korra and her dad. But you could argue it's the same storyline that's happened with her and Tenzin. But maybe that sort of she's pushed everyone away. What happens when it all goes wrong might be interesting. So I think there's a lot of interesting avenues to explore with that, and the things that can come off of that, such as the relationship between Korra and her dad.
Yeah, I think I was kind of interested in sort of the Mako and Korra's dad of it all, because they sort of like have this weird Korra's dad's leaving and he's like shakes hands with Mako, like, look after her, yeah. I will, sir, I thought that was a really interesting dynamic, because I think a really lazy writing would have been like, oh, you're my daughter's boyfriend, are you? Watching you, don't trust you. But actually, he seems to trust Mako quite a lot.
Yeah, and I really liked that. I didn't love the sort of the sting on it of her being like, "What were you talking to my dad about?" I was like, "That was a really nice moment," but I don't think I don't know if it necessarily warrants drawing attention to by Korra.
Yeah, I think it's smoother storyline wise to have Mako and the father moment and use that as the trigger for Korra to be mad at him, to then do the Korra snippy and then apologise.
Yeah,
plot.
I guess
rather than having the Mako moment with her dad and then having a separate thing that she gets irritated about. That you have to contrive that. You've got the fuel for that.
Does
fire
that lead
there.
then to the "I never know whose side you're on" thing, or has that already happened?
Yeah,
at that
no,
point?
that's what leads to that. So even though I agree with you, it would have been nice to just let that moment be. Mako and the dad, Mako and Tonrok on the same page, shake hands. That's like a nice moment. But if you're going to do both, you might as well make them interlink. You might as well use one as the callus for the other, because otherwise you just have to contrive another reason for her to be mad at him, and the episode doesn't need that. To be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't have any other notes. I don't think, except for I suppose we haven't really talked about the ending. The big reveal. Opening the spiritual portal was only the first step in getting the Southern Water Tribe back on its righteous path. There's more difficult work to be done before our true tribes are truly united. What are we thinking?
As always with Dodgy Rock. What's this fella up to?
Yeah, because there's a part of me that thinks that could be quite let's bring our two tribes closer. We can help each other, but then at the same time, several military boats doesn't.
Yeah, I interpret that as classic sort of, egocentric madman leader. Let's bring us closer together. I.e., we're going to take you over.
Yeah, which is very similar to the Fire Lords thing, wasn't it? He was always like, we're going to spread our prosperity and success here in the Fire Nation to the other nations. That was always the guise in which the Fire Lord operated too. Not Fire Lord Ozai, the first Fire Lord, the one that started the 100-Year War, whose name eludes me right now. But interesting. It's certainly interesting, and I think it's a really good note to end on, because it really does make me go like, it's another moment of like the writers being like, trust us, because it's kind of like we've had another episode of sort of setup, and now this is happening, and this feels like now we've got immediate threat, now we've got an immediate problem to solve that feels like it has to be like resolved sooner. And I know some people are going to feel differently. I can already imagine the comments of like, "Oh, you don't think monsters attacking people is an immediate threat?" I want to clarify that I understand that. I'm just saying, like, they've dealt with that for a long time. We've established that this lack of spirituality in the South has been a problem for up to potentially 100 years, at least, if not 170, if it started with the 100-Year War, So, I reckon they could probably go another day or two of this being a problem. It doesn't feel as urgent as a thing that showed up on their doorstep today. And that's I'm not saying that practically when you lay it out, yeah, monsters attacking people is an immediate threat. But the way the show has laid it out has made it feel like a long-term problem they've had. And when Unalot goes, we can't wait another year, I'm like, mate, this is at least 100. You can probably wait another year if this doesn't work, because if this has been ongoing. Although I guess the previous episode kind of established that this was a thing that was getting worse year on year. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit like global warming. Like, you can put it off, you can keep putting it off all you want, but eventually that year is going to really be the last year you can put it off,
Right. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. If that's the case, I don't think the show hasn't successfully, either way, the show hasn't successfully communicated that urgency to me, I don't think. Whether it's, I'm an idiot and I've not picked up on the subtext or not, that hasn't reached me in the way that I think the show intended it to. So, I don't think that makes my criticism not valid. I'm happy though.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
I'm happy to move us on though, Chris. You happy to do some tiny bits of triv? There's not a lot of triv, but hit me with.
Well, hold on. We do our other new section first, don't we?
I don't think we've settled on an order. We can do feedback from last series, but it makes sense to do the triv for the episode we just reviewed before we do the feedback from last series.
Yeah, I did think last week. I did think it was odd we were doing it the way around we were doing it. So yeah, let's in that case, Dan, let's triv it up.
I'm gonna give you some trivia. I don't know what happened. Maybe we just found a good way to segue into it last week, and that's why that happened.
Oh yeah, I think it was linked to the subject we were talking about. To be fair.
So the scene in which the Northern Water Tribe ships arrive on the South Pole bears a similarity to the scene in it says The Last Airbender here. It doesn't mean the movie, does it? Oh fuck, it does mean the movie. Ugh. When the Fire Nation forces arrive at the Northern Water Tribe to launch a siege. I'm deleting that. Bad trivia. You don't talk about the movie. We don't talk about the movie. Milo running into a rock.
The movie.
Milo running into a rock while riding on an air scooter is similar to the manner in which Aang collided with a statue in the opening sequence of The Last Airbender. That is true. This is the first episode in which Asami has not appeared in since her introduction in The Voice in the Night. So since introduced, she's appeared in every single episode until this one.
And I missed her. I like the Asami character, and I noticed her absence in this episode.
Me too. Agreed. Yeah, Asami is a sorely missed piece of the puzzle of the composition of this show's cast this week. I felt it. Yeah, agreed. Last one, not a lot this week. Foley artist Aaron Tanchum, I hope I pronounced that right, and Vincent Gassetti used artificial snow and cornstarch to simulate the various sounds associated with the Everstorm. That's good. You know what I liked about that trivia? It just gave me a chance to shout out the Foley artists. We never get to talk about the Foley artists on any of the shows we review. Foley art is a really hard job, and they did a great job. Sounded good. Thumbs up.
I'd agree with that.
That's everything for that. So, we do have a new segment. There was no Sotomobiles existing this week either, because I tried to look up if the snowmobile was based on any particular design, and it's a very generic snowmobile design. It doesn't really match any specific real-world examples. Well, the problem is, it matches all of them in some way. It's like a really sort of like, you know what I mean? That whole thing of like, draw a sandwich, and people always draw like the sandwich with like the lettuce sticking out. Like, there's that cartoon version of a sandwich. This is kind of that for a snowmobile. Like, if you're going to draw a snowmobile, this is like a pretty traditional way to design one. So there was nothing of note that could link it to a real world one that I saw.
Well, in that case, Dan, let's go straight to responding to comments on the previous season.
I love it. Just slow clap.
Cheers, mate. I also like the fact, as well as it having a different theme every week, I like the fact of it having a different name every week, because I can't remember what we called it last week, but I don't think it was that.
No, it wasn't that. I don't remember what it was called last week either. But yeah, listener feedback, something like that. feedback from last series?
Maybe.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Doesn't really matter. We're happy to have it. So yeah, this is just, we got a bunch of comments. Those things we got lots of comments on based on the last season. I just thought it'd be a chance for us to respond because Korra being a short show, and I'll stop saying this going forward, but Korra being a short show, it means we're already finished recording the series by the time the first episode is going out, generally speaking, because it's 10 to 14 episodes instead of 20 odd episodes than like Avatar. So any feedback we get for the early episodes we used to be able to cover at the end of the series. We can't do that anymore. So I thought it'd be nice just to go back through some feedback we got for the previous season and tackle that. So, with that in mind, Chris, did you know that Daniel Radcliffe went through 160 pairs of glasses during the Harry Potter movies? No, I've got a comment. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
I did know that, Dan.
Oh, you did? Yeah, that's funny. You've heard that before then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, so this week I had a look back and I saw a few comments regarding the metal. The metal. Oh dear Lord, the metal. So, right. I remember this, and Chris probably doesn't because this is a point I really banged on about. I was frustrated with it's just a metal they can't bend, because it just felt like a really quick, lazy way to explain why you can have mechs and it wasn't just an immediate one shot from a metal bender, right? I just thought maybe put a bit more time into making that work, like, because what they basically say is, like, they're like, oh, it's platinum. Platinum can't be metal bent.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
And I was like, oh, magic sci-fi metal you can't bend. The joke being, or the premise of the joke at least being, they've quickly explained away why you can't bend these mechs, right? And the planes and all the various ships, because otherwise a lot of the technology that's been invented is just falling apart in a world of metal benders. And we had multiple comments like, it's not a magic sci-fi metal, it's platinum. Platinum's a real thing. I'm like, I know platinum's a real thing, but its properties as being not bendable is a weird magic sci-fi thing they've added that doesn't really make sense to me. Because what's the difference between a platinum and something else? Now, a few people have supplied more information about that, and someone said that it is due to the purity. So we had loads of comments about the platinum thing. I'm not going to read out any of those. And if anyone who said that, by the way, don't feel bad. I totally get it. I understand why we got to this, how we ended up here. But one thing we got was a comment from Gergherg. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Girghgh. Gerger. I don't know. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Or maybe it isn't designed to be pronounced. But he or she, they left that, or they. I could have just used they. We're learning. Left the comment. The reason the metal couldn't be bent was because of its purity. The whole thing that Toph learned in Last Airbender was that there's earth in the metal to bend. If there's no impurities of earth in it, you can't bend it. Now.
Oh, that's actually quite clever then.
Yeah, I would need to verify, like, what the truth of that is, because, like, surely there's still some amount of earth in a platinum, but maybe not. Maybe it is pure and simple, just a metal, like full-on metal, and there's nothing in it to bend. Maybe that is it. But yeah, I thought that was pretty clever, and I was pleased to see that, because it made more sense to it. Two, though, I will say, I think it validates my point a little bit, though, because that's not made clear in the show, and that's a really good idea. Why did no one just say that? I wouldn't have, like, my complaint was the lack of explanation, just like, oh, hand wavy, like, oh yeah, they can't bend this metal, it's platinum, whatever. Like, I whatever they did in the show to explain it was not enough, clearly, because it went over my head. Maybe I'm just an idiot. That's also, let's not rule that possibility out. But I feel like the show kind of didn't make that clear enough, because I'm assuming from your reaction, Chris, you had not thought of that either. About the
no, of course
purity.
not. But I really love it. I think it's a great explanation, and absolutely should have been in the show.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's because I look back and I just kept seeing comments about this. I just kept. I mean, I thought the magic sci-fi metal thing would have gone over as a joke, as it was intended. Like, but you know, a joke around a real point. The real point being the lack of explanation as to why that metal was bend proof. Yeah, some people took that a little bit more literally. But I saw comments on both the Discord and the YouTube and on Twitter at the time. So yeah, there you go. We've covered it. Feedback from last week.
I think I really wish they'd put that in the show. I love that as an explanation. And
yes,
and hey, maybe it was in the show and we missed it, but I don't feel like it was.
Or maybe they kind of half explained it in a way that you can sort of infer that, but you've got to be really break down the actual lines of dialogue in specifically to you know what, Christ, should we find out? Oh no, how long will it take me to find this? Because I think it wouldn't be too hard to just Control F platinum on the transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a second. Episodes in Korra. What was the episode where Asami's dad got caught? And they found the mechs. Hiroshi Sato. Let's see how quickly we can do this. I feel like I'm wasting a lot of everyone's time here, but let's see what the actual explanation of the episode was. Now I'm curious. And we're never going to get another chance to cover this again, are we? Let's be real.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Hiroshi Sato, Equalist Ties, Mech Tanks. Yep. So the Mech Tanks were introduced in the Equalist Factory in... It doesn't say the name of the episode. That's frustrating. It was an episode like middle of last year. Like it was like, maybe it was like episode 5 or 6, I think. Oh man, this is becoming less interesting as I go. And we've got Vacation Chris, so he's not supporting it. He's not vamping while I look.
Yeah, he's done.
He's done. He wants to get out of
here. I'm on my second Pina Colada.
I found it. It was an episode called the... Only a second. I'd have guessed more. Right, I've got the transcript for the episode in question. It was the Aftermath. It was called transcript for the Aftermath. Right, and I'm just going to type in platinum. No, I don't want to print the page. Fucking hell.
It's like, did you put Control P?
I must have done. Because I was already reaching for the P when I was doing Control. Because I was going to type in platinum. Yes and no. Okay. The line. This is okay. So Beifong tries to metal bend, doesn't work. Is what it looks like here. And Hiroshi Sato yells, "I'm afraid you won't be able to metal bend that wall, Chief Beifong. It's solid platinum. My mech tanks are platinum as well. Not even your renowned mother could bend a metal so pure." So that is kind of there. It's not as explained as well as the person in the YouTube comment explained it. But they use the word pure, which does imply...
They do use the word pure, but I think it's clever. I think they should have given it a bit more. It's cleverer than that, I think.
Yeah. But there you go. So there you go. It is in there. You gotta dig a little. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. You get us all the usual places. I've got to let Vacation Chris get back because he's. I think you've got a massage booked for an hour from now. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got some treatments. I got some more booze. I mean, this comes out in the summer. To clarify, we're not recording this with me actually on vacation.
I don't know, Chris.
But it is very warm.
It is very warm, that's true. I can't wait to finish this podcast so I can open a window. Right, you can get us all the usual places. If you want to support this show, you can go over to patreon.com/nothingbutstatic. If you wish to give us as little as $1 a month, you get episodes a week early. So that means next week you can... next week's episode, Civil Wars Part 1, you can hear it now. Right now, Chris. They can just go over to the Patreon, what little as $1 a month. It also gives you access to the Discord, where you can give us feedback from the episode, and maybe that feedback will end up in Series 3. Who knows? The other thing you can do, of course, if you have feedback for us, is to go over to the YouTube channel, find the relevant video for this podcast, and then leave your comment. Other ways you can support us, of course, is you can go to iTunes or your podcast catcher of choice. I'm reusing that phrasing because Chris seemed to enjoy that last week.
I did very much. Enjoyed it this week too.
Good. You can go to your podcast catcher of choice and, of course, review us. So whatever you're using, whether it's Overcast or iTunes, Spotify, you're welcome to go over and give us a little review. That tells that software, hey, I liked this, and then it's more likely to recommend it to others. The other way, of course, you can support us is by continuing to listen. We love when you do that. We love it. If you're doing that right now, which you must be if you're hearing this, we love it. Right, Chris? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely love it.
He's basically halfway to the volleyball court.
Love it as you are misjudging how I holiday.
Yeah, the idea that you put activities on your schedule is the funniest part of this to me. Your version of I'm guarantee it. If he's in a place that's hot and with water for swimming, Chris is pitching up to where the water is, sitting next to it, and reading a book.
Yep, and then occasionally jumping in, getting back out, reading more of my book.
That sounds right. So yeah, that's all the places you can get us, and support us and stuff. Also, if you're on the Patreon, by the way, we do have monthly bonus content that's just for patrons. At the moment, we're doing Nothing But Lyrics, a series where we make fun of the lyrics of songs or try to figure out what the fuck they're talking about. So that's good fun. So that's everything. Been a pleasure. Thanks, Chris, for joining us
It's been a
from
blast.
sunny wherever you are.
Thanks, thank you, Dan. Had a good time.
Yeah, me too. It's been fun. With that said, I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll see you in a week's time when we sit down to review Civil Wars Part 1.
Part 1.
It's a two-parter, mate. Two-parter and Civil Wars. That's a good name. Suggests stuff going to happen.
I mean, I would suggest it's the North v the South, but we shall see.
Oh no, it could be anything, Chris. Could be anything. Could be anything. Maybe the siblings are all yelling at each other again. Push his glasses up nose.
Maybe. But that would be called Civil War. That was a really bad joke.
I've got a new thing where I just let stuff hang.
Yeah.
I've started doing it
fair.
at work and it's really annoying people. I just let...
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely that prick they talk about when they go home.
Yeah. Because I think it's extra annoying with me because I'm normally the guy that can be relied on to fill a silence if something hasn't landed how you wanted it to. You know, people enjoy... There are many things people don't like about the fact I talk too much. But one of the benefits, Chris, is that if you have a clanger, I'm there to either tag it, laugh at it, like whatever. It diffuses it almost immediately. But I've got a new thing now where I just quite like to just go silent in those moments. And it really annoys people because I'm the guy they were hoping would pick it up and run.
Yeah. And it makes them feel worse about the clanger. They're like, oh, even Dan's not supporting me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's good times. Anyway, bye everyone. Bye.